welcome back to another episode of Switch On Season 2. And as we focus on the relationship of Australia and Vietnam in this season, education is a really big part of it. And that's why it's an honor for us today to have Mr. Tran Nguyen, the Students Program Manager at Study Melbourne, with us today. So, hi, thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you?
Hi, Vicky. Thank you for having me. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owner of the land we're on today, honorary people, good nation. I pay respect to the elder, past, present, and emerging. So my name is Tran Nguyen. I'm the Student Programs Manager at Study Melbourne, like you mentioned. So a bit about myself. I'm from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, of course. I've been here for about 14 years. So I studied at Melbourne University, and then I did a master's degree in international relations, and then I became a high school teacher for about 4 years, and then I joined the department for the last probably 6-7 years. But yeah, it's a bit about myself.
Wow, that's a long journey in Australia so far.
Don't guess my age.
I won't. And so can you briefly explain your role and also your responsibility as a student program manager in Study Melbourne?
Yeah, sure. We are with the Victorian government, Department of Jobs, Skill, Industry and Regions, a very long name. So essentially what we do as the Melbourne is we are part of Victorian government initiative to support international students in Victoria, across Melbourne and regional Victoria. And what we do is a lot of like programs and support services. And the goal is to make sure that students can have the best time studying and living in Victoria. So for my role, I'm the student programs manager. And what I do is I manage about 3 or 4 different programs around employability, around life in Melbourne, and ambassador program, which you are familiar with, and you're part of it. And we every day pretty much I just manage a contract with the supplier, make sure we run the programs to benefit all students really studying Victoria.
Awesome. Like personally, as an international student, I will have to send like a personal thank you to you there, like for helping us like blending into the life here in Melbourne. So what drives you and your passion to like with working with students and helping international students?
Yeah, good question. For me, youth empowerment always a passion for me. Education has a special place in my heart. So from my teaching day to actually for my job at the moment. So pretty much I do believe education does prepare us for the best future.
For sure.
And the young people is our future as well. So let's make sure they have the right skills, they are prepared, and they are ready for a rapidly changing world with, you got climate change crisis, you got a lot of unknowns in what's happening in the next 20-30 years. So I think just to invest in the young people is to prepare for our future, all of us.
Yeah. So prepare for the next generation to like, prepare for the journey. So let's talk a bit about like Vietnamese students in Melbourne and also in Australia. As I know, as of 2023, Vietnam is like the 6th country which has the most international students in Melbourne and also in Australia. And as someone who worked in the industry, how has it changed, and also like in the international students landscape, how has it changed from before COVID and then after COVID? Has the number of students increased, and also especially Vietnamese students in Australia?
Yeah, again, another very good question, Vicky. So look, we all know that COVID had a massive impact on the industry and the number of international students as well. So pretty much for about 2 years, we didn't have any new students for about 2 years, and then we got a surge of in number in in about 2 years afterwards. In terms of landscape, I think I had to double check my figure. I'm pretty sure Vietnam is the top 5, or no, it's a 6th largest source country international students in, is right there.
Yeah.
In Victoria, in Australia, definitely there's many reasons behind it. I think the proximity to the country is not too far away, with direct flights to, from own big city in Vietnam to Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and Brisbane, and so on. A strong community in both Melbourne and Sydney, with a lot of local connections and family connections. In terms of changing landscape, I would say definitely emerging for COVID, where students had to study online for about 2 years. So interestingly, we can see a bit of legacy from that online learning as well across the providers we see. In a good way, I think, sort of that hybrid model that
Yeah.
students still prefer to have some elements of their courses online. Not all of it, but some parts of it, they like the flexibility of it. So definitely I can see the providers and the university adapting to that trend to have some part of it online, but then some parts of it in person. So we see that across the board. In terms of students, Vietnamese students particularly, I would say, the expectations have been quite consistent. They normally focus on some quite particular industry that you see a lot of students, business, commerce, accounting, engineering,
Yeah.
But again, they expanded to other parts, other areas as well. And in terms of, beside, in addition to high quality education, services and outcomes, they think about employment quite early on as well, to see whether they can get a job after graduation, either in Australia or back in Vietnam. And for us to do as well is quite obvious. A lot of students, they do want to stay on to get experiences, but not necessarily stay on forever. They want to go back. They want to got their families there. They can still build quite a good career in Vietnam as well. So definitely I can see that from just my interaction with the students. But yeah, so it is exciting to see what next for the students, and then I'm sure that thing will keep changing as well.
That's very insightful and also a very exciting future like we have up there. And with so many international students here in Australia, how would you say that international student has embraced the cultural diversity in Australia? How did they encourage and also contribute to that cultural diversity?
Yeah, 100%. So I forgot to mention this. I should have in the beginning that I just hear on a personal capacity.
Obviously.
I don't represent the Victorian government in this session. It's just my observation and my personal opinions. Cultural diversity, I think is great. It's a very important. Probably been to a few events that run by us with our senior executive and leaders. International students and Vietnamese students play a very important role in our state, Melbourne and Victoria in general, in terms of contributing to the vibrant multiculturalism that we have here.
Yeah.
You can see it in many different ways. One thing is at the university campuses, in the college, you can see variety of people, a variety of opinions, perspective, and that's very important for local students and for all of us to see the same issue from different angles, and it is actually enriching the educational outcomes for all of us. I think that's one part of it educationally. The second part I would say probably definitely in terms of employment as well. Students definitely you can see them working across the board in aged care, in hospital, in nursing, in hospitality, in different industries, and they really important, while labor source, but at the same time, just again to that contribution to our economy, to our community. But another part as well, I see so many students, I wish I did it when I was studying, but I didn't, is volunteering in different activities and events and programs. And to be honest, when I was studying, which was quite a long time ago, I didn't do much of it. I wish I did, but I can see students, they get so much out of these activities, volunteering at their community, to do, I don't know, could be anything with their social club, university, even a small part-time job, all of those things, putting together, you can say definitely making a big difference to the community that we see today.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say that back when you were studying,
Yeah.
was it because there wasn't many like opportunities and also activities for you to participate in, or like what was the reason behind?
A few things. I mean, at that time, when you arrive in a new country, things are quite overwhelming.
Yes,
So I guess,
definitely.
like any other students, the first semester you try to swim. Really, you just try to make sense of things.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing. Second thing definitely would be because of, I didn't know about I don't think there was Study Melbourne at that time, to be honest. We are quite new in terms of initiative. We don't think we had a Study Melbourne initiative yet at that time. So the lack of that, a bit of like information. I wasn't aware of information, didn't know that there was activities out there for me. And at the university as well, again, I was at Melbourne Uni at that time. And in my course, there was a very few international students for that particular course. So that was pretty tricky as well, just trying to make it work with everything. I was part of some social clubs, but again, thinking back, I think I should have done a bit more social activities with the university. That would have been helpful as well. But moving forward, definitely I can say students are younger people, and I think at that time as well, I think social media was out there, but not as strong as it is right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's one reason as well. There was not as much marketing in terms of events and everything. Yeah. But again, definitely when you're a new student, you just have to try find a way to make it work first with your studies. So
Yeah, like coming into a different country is definitely not an easy thing. So that's why I say personally, I really want to send a thank you to you and also Study Melbourne as like an organization to helping international students to kind of like blend into the new life in another country. It's a really powerful and also supportive initiative out there that we're having. And also a bit about your personal experience as a student's program manager.
yeah.
What initiative that you did, or like what kind of student programs that makes you feel the most rewarding?
Yeah. Well, I have to say I love all the programs I run equally.
No bias?
No bias, just in case that, people listen out there. And I had some very good moments and memories with the programs. If I have to pick one of them, I would say definitely, it's so sad to their own special and their unique way. But definitely, let's pick one, because otherwise
You have to
we will
pick
be
one.
here
It's
forever.
my question.
We'll be here forever. I would say back to volunteering as well. I run this programs called Empower Series, and under Empower Series have different programs, sub-program underneath it. And one of them called Leadership Labs. And Leadership Labs are about leadership skill and about how to be a leader for yourself and your community. So one of the stream is called Volunteer to Lead. And the idea behind that stream is to show the students how to volunteer, what does it mean to be a volunteer, and what you can get out of it. Because, students arrive and we say, you know what, volunteer, go out there, talk with people, it's good for you. but nobody shows them actually how to do it. And you got 18 years old, you tell them, oh, go volunteer, it's good for you. But they're like, how do I do it? So that's the idea behind the program. And we did the pilot was, I think, 6 online sessions in a COVID time, about an hour each. And let's face it, it's very tricky to do online sessions after COVID time because people just over it. They just over online studying. So afterwards, we decided to do it to combine all 6 to become a 2-day workshops in person in a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 2 days. And to be honest, when we started it, I had a bit of reservation because I cannot imagine students. It's a weekend as well, Saturday, Sunday. I can imagine students spend a weekend from 9 to 5 to study, to learn about volunteering in their own time. Not a subject at university, they don't get paid for it. Oh, they probably wouldn't show up, I'm just a bit worried about it. But you know what? We'll just give it a go and see. And the result were beyond my expectations. Really, students were really engaged. So the first year we did it, we had about probably 100 for the first day and about 65 for the second day, which wasn't too bad. But it's a serious panel discussion about people who actually volunteering. They came back and talk about their experiences, and the MC will actually went through item by item about how to volunteer, what it means, and how to apply volunteering. At the end of the day, the second day, they actually apply in a session. So they got some, tangible outcomes
Very
out
practical.
of it. So that was great. We got a great result from the first year. Second year, we got a 200 for the first day, about 150 for the second day. So I can't wait for this year program to see how many we can get. So it does show that with the right program design, with the right target, you do attract students to attend, and we have many good stories coming out from that program by students who are actually volunteering and they get a job afterwards. They learn so much from it. They got they build their community, they make new friends. So some very lovely story coming out. But so I'm very happy with that program among many other programs I run. But that does show that it does, a little small change can make a big difference in your life.
Yeah, that sounds very amazing. Having like going into a session and then having something tangible and practical, gaining it back. Yeah, it's very amazing. And as you mentioned something about like employability and also like student starting to look for job at a very early stage. So as an international student myself, I can see that there are still a lot of challenges and difficulties especially for international students to find like professional work within the industry. Would you say that is the correct interpretation or like perspective of the industry right now?
Look, it varies industry by industry. To be honest, it depends on, because one of the misconception I think I've heard normally around students is people talk about the international student as a one single homogeneous identical cohort, but they are not.
Yes.
They come from different countries, different background, different skill level, different language level. So it's no one size fits all for all of them. Just to acknowledge that to begin with. But yeah, definitely. Probably, people would have heard about this like all the time. We apply for jobs, you hear nothing for employers, or they already got a line around, the visa condition, about requirement to be a PR or a citizen to apply. So you feel like you got excluded to begin with. And that's something that we still working on it, to be honest. And Study Melbourne, we're working very hard with across the different level of government to advocate for more employers to recruit or to hire international students and graduates. It's still a long journey to get there, but definitely it has improved quite a bit. But we're still working with our stakeholders across industry to improve that for the national students. Yeah.
Yeah. Then, in terms of advice, what would you give for the international students so that they can enhance their employability or like enhance their chance to get a job here in Australia?
Yeah, look, I have a list of advice, but I won't go through it. We don't have much time. But I would say definitely the first thing is on about before you apply for jobs, it just that sort of social inclusion and the sense of belongings are very important for the national students, and something that I really recommend every student coming from everywhere, including Vietnam, to work on from day one.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is just to make sure that you go out there as much you can to understand the local culture, the people. And there's one concept I'm not sure heard about. It's called cultural capital. I'm sure you heard about this one. Just to understand, because people take for granted what you know about a place and the link from that to a job. But like, oh, you don't need to know about that for a job. But when you go for a job, that's your hard skill, but your soft skill as well, communication skill, how to talk with people.
Yeah.
And if you're not from here and you don't grow up with this culture, there'll be surprising elements in it. So the more you expose yourself to those elements while you still study, the easier for you to get into it. So do whatever you need to do. It could be a part-time job, volunteering activities, going to Study Melbourne events, talk, going to a social club, follow a sport team, whatever it is, just really enjoy and really try to connect as much as you can with your community, and that will be very helpful. You can't see it straight away, but it does work. Back to the core skill, employability. Look, you learn what you need to learn at university and provider, accounting, business, commerce, whatever it is. But two things that you probably wouldn't know as much, or you probably need to work on a bit with networking skills. Because you think about that, you start fresh in Australia, in Melbourne and Victoria. You don't have a network, either professional or personal network. And it's very important for some industry just to know people. For example, a lot of jobs were advertised, was never advertised officially. It's a word of mouth. So it's good to know how to network, and we do run a lot of events about networking in Melbourne. So check our website as well if you haven't seen it, or social media, and we show you step by step again. We don't just tell you, oh, go network, go out, talk with people, network. We just show actually how to do it step by step. Another thing would be definitely, of course, take advantage of your providers' resources. They would have career team. They would have, internship opportunities that you can explore as well, and try really hard to put yourself out there. And I know one thing, students, I hear quite a bit is people really frustrated when you apply for 100 jobs and you hear nothing from anybody. It's very frustrating, and I totally sympathize, and happens to a lot of people who start their career journey. And it happens to domestic students as well, so don't forget that. So definitely be patient, keep trying, and then you do everything you can, and it happens when you don't expect it.
Definitely. Just try your best, and I truly believe in like trying my best, and then good things will happen as long as you put in like your best effort. And I think that comes to our last question today. I know I asked you about advice before, but I'm going to ask you for more advice now. So this one is for international students looking to study in Australia and Melbourne in particular. What are the advice or tips would you like to give to them so that they can embrace their living experience, not about study, not about job and employability, but more on like how to live or enjoy their best life here in Australia?
Good question. Yeah, if you're thinking about coming to Melbourne and Victoria to study, you make the right decision because I work here. But at the same time, look, my advice would be think about your goals before you arrive, and it's something that again, if you're a young person, probably you don't think about it that much. But it's just something very quick. It could be anything. You wanna say own it in Australia. You want to learn a new language. You want to learn how to play footy. You learn whatever it is, and have that in mind before you're here, so you can get yourself ready for it. And second thing would be, reach out to people who have been here before, or people you might know, for example, student ambassador like Vicky, to talk about, their experiences, how they're going here. And we have many things that we can offer in Melbourne and Victoria, so make sure you take advantage of it. Studying is important, but there's a life outside of it as well, to make sure you take advantage of that, and take care of your mental health. I think is one thing that it just you move to a new country, a new environment, without your support network. It's a very hard task, and you're very brave to do it by yourself. So don't be too hard on yourself, and make sure you look after yourself, and you would have a wonderful time in Melbourne and Victoria.
That's such a great ending. Thank you. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm sure it has been a very insightful session for international students, also like prospective students who are looking to come into Australia, and also for them to know what Study Melbourne has to offer for students, the support that they have. So thank you so much for your time today, and definitely check out for Study Melbourne events, and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you.